Hello everyone, I want to welcome everyone to this week's introductory module. The purpose of this week's course is to really introduce you to different types of museum spaces. Throughout the tenure and weeks of this course, we will explore and discuss many different functions, meanings, and interpretations of museums. Now when you think of the idea of a museum, or if I ask you to name one, some large and popular ones might come to mind, including the Louvre or the Smithsonian. And that would be fair. They are incredible spaces with lots of significance. But in addition to that, there are many other different types of museums and museum spaces. And one I want to talk to you at least briefly about as an introduction to rethinking and reconceptualizing the purpose and the meaning of a museum is a historic house museum. And what better way to introduce you to this concept than to show you around one? Let's take a quick walk. So currently, I am in the Gorgas House Museum on the University of Alabama's campus. Typically, these spaces are exactly what they say. They reinterpret and reimagine and preserve historic homes so that it is a glimpse and a window into these 17th, 18th, and 19th century structures, largely within the United States, but going back further depending on where you are in the world. Most of these are found outside or within urban areas, but occasionally you will find them on academic and university settings, such as this one. Now, the Gorgas House Museum speaks to the history, mission, and legacy of the Gorgas family. That is really a mid-20th century concept. So currently, that is the way its historic presentation and its narrative is presented. Here, it speaks to the legacy of the Gorgas family, that being the 8th president of the university, Amelia Gorgas, for whom the library is named, and their son, their eldest son, William Crawford Gorgas, who eliminated yellow fever in the Panama Canal Zone and is credited with getting it completed. Now that said, it can speak to many other histories, not only this great person of history narrative that is so often presented within these spaces. And that is really a 20th century concept that we're trying to remove and get away from. So when you walk around these types of spaces, these historic house museums, think about the histories and the narratives that aren't being spoken to. And in a space like this, what might those be? So sure, we talk about the Gorgas family and the people who directly contributed to its name, but there are other histories and narratives and people who contributed to this history, to this museum and the university's history. Who might that be? Well, in this case, there are several. The first and most salient example is the history of slavery on a university campus. And that is a spot in history that the museum is attempting to talk to with student-created exhibits, like that one, detailing archaeological excavations around the house that speaks to not only the Gorgas family history, the early 20th century history, but also the mid-19th and pre-Civil War slave histories. So these are ways that you can engage your audience and speak to different histories more so than the ones that most present themselves as the most salient. So think about these concepts as you explore the course as you go forward. Now, there are many different interpretations and histories of spaces that you encounter, and I encourage you to always be reflexive and reflective and think about the narratives that you are seeing, but also the narratives that you are not. And some of the assignments you have during this course are really reimagining the spaces that you see and those that you typically visit within a museum system. So, thank you all. I look forward to working with everyone, and please give me any questions or comments. I'm happy to reply to them as we move forward. Thank you.